morning, Muttonistas. I am not a morning man. In fact, I often don't see the morning. I often don't see breakfast. But when the idea was trawled of going on a Lahore breakfast tour, I had to get up. I couldn't resist. So join me today as we try out Pakistani breakfast in Lahore. In Lahore and many other parts of Pakistan, breakfast is quite a big deal, and breakfast is nothing like the sort of breakfast that we in Europe and North America know. So I'm in Lahore's old town at the moment. If I swivel around, you can see what a bustling, tightly packed, frenetically paced area this is. People going about their business. It is absolutely teeming here. We're going to start with one of Lahore and Pakistan's breakfast classics, paye. And we've come for our paye to a legendary institution in the heart of the old city of Lahore called Phajja paye. And this restaurant literally puts its money where its mouth is. And it makes some pretty strong claims about it being the best paye in Pakistan. Now, since it's my first ever paye, I won't be able to make an accurate judgment on that, but obviously I'd be able to tell whether it lives up to its claim of serving great food or not. In case you don't know what paye is, it's mutton feet or goat's feet or trotters. I've never had it before, so it'll be a first for me as well as for many of you. Okay, so it's not just trotters we have tongues and all. Yeah. So, tongues to the left, trotters to the right, and I'm stuck in the middle. So that bubbling, spicy goodness is apparently cooked overnight and then added to this huge vat of goats, trotters, and tongues, and that meaty juice gets added to your bowl of paye, ready for the customers to mop up with their naan or roti. And it goes without saying that there's a tandoor here, as copious amounts of naan would obviously be consumed with paye. The dining room is a little Spartan, but it looks reasonably clean to me. So it goes without saying that this is rather a meaty start to the day, but when I saw all those meaty juices bubbling up with the trotters and tongues ready to be piled in and served with fresh naan, I couldn't miss a place like this. Anyway, enough talking as usual, down to the food. So our mutton trotters in hot, steaming broth have arrived, along with naan bread, of course. And I'm going to try the sauce first. Quite tomato and quite peppery as well, which was not at all what I expected. And in this restaurant, I didn't see any cutlery at all, so you've got to dig in there with your hands and eat the Pakistani way. So let's rip a little piece off. Yes. Now that is one of the most gelatinous things I've ever eaten, but it is delicious. Absolutely packed with rich muttony flavours. And okay, if you don't like bony and gelatinous things, I will admit you won't like this, but it just so happens that I do. Wow, look at how it just falls off the bone as well. And just to illustrate quite how gelatinous this is, look at that. And it is also worth saying you have to be prepared to basically put the whole thing in your mouth at times and spit the bones out. Something that if you travel enough to Asia, you'll get used to, whether it's Chinese, Pakistani, Indian, Thai or whatever. And one very easy comparison I can make are the chicken feet that are served up as a Cantonese dim sum. You basically have to get in there and spit the bones out of that. And I'd also add that picking this up and getting it into your mouth is actually quite tricky. It takes a bit of practice. So a lot of fat, a lot of bone, but also a very, very rich and meaty flavour. Beautifully enhanced by that peppery tomato meaty gravy. Anyway, this is difficult enough for me to eat with one hand, let alone two, so I'll get on with this and we'll be right back when we've polished it off. Before I leave you for a few seconds, I will add that they come around and they bring you more bread and top up your bowl with more stock. I'm not going to eat all that much bread because we're going to some other places. I don't want to be full here, but if you want to make a full breakfast of it just at this place, you certainly can. So, there is the damage. I guess a seasoned expert could have picked a bit more off those bones than I did, but it was enough for me. Now, there is still some bread left, loads of that meaty juice as well, but because we're going to more than one place, I'll call it quits there. But what a great start to the day that was. Anyway, onwards and upwards to the next place. After a brief walk to get those stomach juices and appetite rolling again, we have come to Taj Mahal Sweets to try another dish that I've heard of before, but I've never actually tried. Another famous Pakistani and Lahore breakfast dish called halwa puri. So for those of you who don't know, a puri is a deep-fried bread. He kneads and spreads the dough, quickly deep-fries them in the hot oil, and there we have the end product, the fluffy puri. So they very kindly allowed me round the back to shoot the various products that they make here. Not sure exactly what they all are, but hopefully they'll describe them to me. So here we have mutton tiki, some sort of fried bread with mutton inside. So this is the halwa made with milk, wheat and sugar. And that, muttonistas, is what we're going to have from this store. This is another type of halwa called suji halwa. I'm not quite sure actually how it's made or what the difference is, but I'll leave a note in the subtitles for you. There's some suggestion it might be made from dal, but I'll check it out and let you know, because honestly, this is the first time I've had this and I don't really know what it is. And more deep-fried pastries with mutton and beef as well. So again, a modest dining room, looks reasonably clean, and there's a large selection of sweets available for those who want to try those. Bit early in the day for Pakistani sweets for me, but I suppose what I'm having is a bit sweet. So we now have in front of us the puris, some chana and some halwa. So there we are, the puri, the deep-fried flatbread, the halwa, which is lavishly garnished with mixed nuts and a bit of dried fruit, and the chana. So a bonus dish actually arrived. We ended up receiving a little bit of mutton tiki. Whether I can finish all this is another matter, but I'll do my best. There, that's the mutton tiki. So I'm more familiar with halwa being a dessert, but there are different types of halwa, and this one is made from semolina. The other one that you saw a few minutes ago in the clips in the kitchen is made from wheat, but I prefer this one made out of semolina. And of course the chickpeas, a little bit runnier than I've seen, but obviously that's how they do them here, stuck in. Whether that's enough bread or not, I don't know. But I'd hazard a guess that you can eat as much bread as you want here, and they'll just keep bringing you more when you finish what you've got on your plate. So let's dig into the halwa first. Okay, that's moderately sweet. It's a little sweeter than the carrot-based halwa that I've had before whilst I'm here. This is only my second or third attempt at eating halwa, but I really love the nuts on top of it. Apart from the nutty flavour in parts, the crunch as well adds a lot, given that the halwa itself is quite firm and moist. Now for the chana. In terms of ease to eat, I do prefer it a bit firmer. This is a little bit runny and watery, but the sauce is very tasty. Not too spicy, a little spicy. And the chickpeas themselves are firm, but clearly not overcooked. And as is often the case, there are a few bits of potato knocking about. And I probably scoop up too much bread when I get in there and scoop, but don't forget, I'm not used to eating with my hands. Anyway, down the hatch we go. The deep-fried puris are possibly not the healthiest thing I've ever eaten, but they are really very tasty, and they are beautiful with gravies or curries or curried vegetables like the chickpeas. Okay, a little close-up for you folks. Now, I'm not sure this is actually traditionally part of the breakfast set, but we'll give it a try. They suggested it. That is like a deep-fried meat pie. It is tasty. It'd probably actually go well with a beer if that combination were possible. But I'm going to have a bit of this, but all in all, it's going to be too much to finish. I'm going to stick to munching down the halwa and the chana, the more traditional elements, and I'm not sure, given the pie beforehand, whether I'll even be able to come close to finishing that. So, okay, I admit I couldn't even come close to finishing all that. But I did get to try a few things. And I must stress, of course, that the average Pakistani, when having such a breakfast, would probably just come for one thing, whether it be the pie or the halwa puri. I wanted to bring you variety, so that's why we've gone for quite a few things today. And that leaves me with the tiniest bit of room left in my stomach to have one more item on this breakfast food tour. Now, the last item on this tour that we're going to have is something that you've seen me have it many, many times before, but not on the street. And I'm actually a bit wary about this, but I'm going to give it a go. And what we're going to have now is some lassi. Now, I love yogurt drinks, whichever part of the world they come from, as long as they're not sweet or too sweet. And here, they really do take it down to fine art. I mean, look at how rich the yogurt, the butter and everything is here. So I've been assured that there's no water involved, just milk and yogurt, so I'm happy to try it on that basis. Wow. Wow. What did he put in the top of there? Was that butter?
No, that is yogurt, upper layer.
Ah, so the yogurt drink was topped up with the cheese or curd or the upper layer of the yogurt. So that's something I've not seen before. I think this is going to be rich, and I think it's going to be also delicious. Okay, here goes. Let's give it a go. So this one is actually a little sweet, but it is absolutely gorgeous. It really is. And that rich, creamy layer of cheese or the top of the yogurt, it's divine. It really does add richness to it. Now, I actually prefer the salty type of lassi, but I'll give this one a go, even though it's sweet, because it is so good. and it's probably something I might not ever get to try again, unless I come back to Pakistan or India, of course, and do another street food tour for you. So that was the richest, most dairy-laden lassi I've ever had, and such a pity I couldn't get the salty one, but if I'm at a stall like this again, I will remember to see if they have salty, although the sweet one was delicious, I will give them that. Anyway, not an ounce of room left in my stomach. I'm absolutely stuffed to the hilt, so I'm going to wrap up this breakfast tour of the old town of Lahore. I hope you enjoyed it. Plenty more content still to come. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And don't forget, you can't beat a bit of mutton.